Hi, guys. Happy Thursday. How are you doing? So thank you for joining us. I just wanted to do some little housekeeping. If you are joining us on StreamYard, on the right-hand side, there is the comment section. So you can use that to ask questions or send any information. So if you could please start by telling us who you are and where you're dialing in from, as well as sharing your LinkedIn profile so that we can actually connect, right? That's the whole point of us doing these monthly sessions at Transformation Leader. So I'm going to start by introducing the lovely guest. My name is Nono. I am based in Austin, Texas. I will also share my LinkedIn profile in there. And I'm joined by fantastic panelists, so much so that I decided to bring my glasses so that I could, look smart, because these guys are really top tier on a conversation about promotion. So, gentlemen, if you could please introduce yourselves, and then we could start by sharing a horror story or a myth around promotions.
All right, Mike, do you want to go ahead since
Yes,
M is
go
the
ahead.
guest?
Sure, I'll start us off, Samson and Nono. So, hey, everybody, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to have this conversation. As stated, I'm Michael Ward Jr. I'm the president and CEO of Universal Tech Movement, and we're all about everything tech. Our whole main focus is to get people inside the tech space and everything under the umbrella. So, as I think about this question about a horror story or myth inside the workplace, I think about my times when I was working in Boston, and I was my first time in Boston. I'm originally from the East Coast. But when I was in Boston, I was working for Oracle. And for my first year, I was told that after a year of doing this role, I'm able to explore anywhere inside the company. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is nice. So I had a great time with the team. I bonded with my manager. I'm hit off all the marks when it comes down to my milestones and my performances. Then when it came down to that year mark for me to look at new opportunities, well, all those opportunities that was vast and numerous shrunk to like two options, actually three options. Was either to stay in Boston on a different team, I can go to California, or I can come to Austin, Texas. So here it is. I didn't really like those three options. I didn't want to stay in Boston. California was too far, and I didn't hear much about Austin, Texas, because I was from Miami, went to school in North Carolina, spent some time overseas, but I was looking to do something that was a little bit more exciting to me at the time. But after all the options, I decided to come to Austin, Texas. And unfortunately, it wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be. The team that I got assigned to ended up changing when I got here. So I was in a completely different team, completely different product, completely different position than what I actually signed up for. But it created a great opportunity for me to ultimately leave Oracle and formalize the Universal Tech Movement to the company that is today. So didn't think I would be here, but it was definitely an interesting journey from what I was told starting out to what actually happened at the end of the day. So definitely excited to dive more throughout the conversation. Excited to be everybody.
Thank you. Awesome. Samson, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Sam. People call me Sam. Based in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Uh, and I'm excited to be here to share my life journey and some few things that I know with you guys, and just to interact with you all. I remember it would be 13 years ago when I was doing my kind of my first permanent job. I was in college and I had a job, and um, I went in, like hit the ground running. I was overworking everybody, including the manager. And so the owner of the chain, it was a franchise uh, servicing telco customers here in my country. And, the owner, talked to the manager, said, "Hey, this guy should be promoted." Very point blank, everybody heard it. And I was excited because I knew, promotion is coming. And lo and behold, I don't know, 2 months down the road, somebody else came in, and I was told, you should train this particular person because, you're so good at what you're doing. Train this person so that we have somebody else who is also going to be doing what you're doing. And once I finished the training, the person got the job that I was promised. And that was a shocking moment for me. uh, because of the number of hours that I had put in, because of how I had gone above and beyond to make sure that our clients are getting the best out of the office. And yeah, so I think that was a learning moment for me in my growth, in my career, in my journey, and eventually when I started my company, it helped me see things differently, especially when I'm looking at my staff and my team. Yeah.
Thank you. Last but definitely not least, Noma.
Okay, so I don't know if you can hear me or not, but it
We
looks like
can.
I'm okay. So if you can hear me, that's good enough. So by way of introduction, my name is Norman Komani. I'm a Zimbabwean-based chartered accountant, infrastructure and business development practitioner, and a techpreneur. My LinkedIn is Noma, Noma Nkomani. I'm 32. And in terms of the lessons that I've learned, or at least one lesson or one story that I can really think about and resonate with in terms of promotions was the story started about 20 years ago when I started my career. And just to give background, I was doing articles with one of the big four firms, and I joined articles post as a graduate. I joined after my master's degree, but my master's wasn't in accounts. So I had, there's two parts in terms of your promotion or your career progression. And the first one is where you get promoted every 6 months if you're a graduate, or at least eligible for promotion every 6 months if you're a graduate. And then the second is you're eligible for promotion every year if you're not a graduate. So I was a graduate, but not an accounting graduate. But I managed to get my promotions every 6 months for the first 2 years, and that was fantastic. And I was cruising and coasting and sailing. But then I got to a point where I hit a brick wall, and this was about 2 years into my career. And then I think I stayed at the same level for close to 2 years. And I found that a very frustrating time in my life because even my undergrad peers eventually caught up with me, and the people who I was moving with in terms of grade were now ahead of me, and you're just stuck in this place for 2 years because your exams haven't really progressed with the way they're supposed to progress. And to make matters worse, instead of taking 3 years to do the accounts degree, it took me 4 years. So that kept me at a certain place for some time. Um, but what I, and it actually got to a point, I had one job which was not a great job. So in our assessments, we had like a assessment process where you start with the people who worked with you on the job, and then independent managers, and then they get up to partner level. So in this assessment, like it sounded like everyone was telling me that, you know what, you need to quit whilst you're still ahead. So, I was like, okay, quit whilst I'm still ahead. So I actually thought I needed to leave. And but I spoke to a partner. This was right at the end where, and I told him that, if you guys want me to go, it's okay, I can go. But he said, no, what you talking about? You just need to make sure that you get your exams right. And I kid you not, in that year, like after we had that discussion, I worked the least I'd ever done in the four years I'd been in the firm. But because I made sure that I focused on my exams, I got the promotion. So the lesson that I learned from there is that you need to understand what the rules of your organization are in order for you to get to where you need to get to. So the rules could be very different. In my case, it was an issue of you need to make sure that you're putting in the hours and you also have the exams. But in somebody else's case or someone else's situation, it could be you need to make sure you're doing, I don't know, I can't even think of the examples. I mean, the particular circumstances will be different for each organization. So that's like one key lesson that I picked up in terms of promotion that I thought I'll share with the audience.
Well, thank you guys. It sounds like even though those were a bit of like horror story vibes. You were able to pivot them into something that was successful, something that you could learn from. And hopefully, as we unpack this conversation, that's what we'll be giving the audience, like some things that you can actually learn and utilize. So I want to just ask the audience a couple of questions here. I want to find out in terms of voting, so you can vote by numbers. Which of these five myths do you feel is the biggest lie that people share? And also, we can take part in this. The first one is um, first one in, last one out always gets the corner office. If you're the smartest in the room, promotion is automatic. Don't rock the boat, just wait your turn. Promotions are based on merit alone. Politics, never. And lastly, once you get promoted, you finally have balance and control. So, what are you guys thinking? Which is like the biggest lie to you?
The biggest lie? Oh
The
my
biggest of
goodness.
the five, the biggest of those five. Which one is it for you guys?
Hey. uh,
I'm gonna say that for me, the my personal biggest one is promotions are based on merit alone, politics never. I feel like that is the biggest piece of hogwash I've ever read. Like whoever said that needs to stop.
I'd say number two. If you're the smartest in the
Mhm.
room, promotion is automatic. That's just
It's
that's just
like
not it.
least smartest. No, I'm kidding. Like sheesh, I don't know. It sound horrible.
Yeah,
What
I'm
about
leaning towards
you?
number four. I'm with the promotions that are based on merit alone, politics never. I'm in alignment with you. No, no. And I say that because it's really about relationships, right? Because if everybody's doing a great job, right? If everybody has merit, well, then what's the deciding factor? And the deciding factor is those relationships, those intangibles, those engagements you've all had, outside of just the task or the work or the job that's been happening.
Yeah, 1000%. And what about you, Noma? Do you have any biggest lie you want to point out? I'm seeing we're getting a lot of twos in the comments.
I see some fours too.
Okay, we got
Yeah,
some fours with
Yeah,
and
us.
course, yeah.
Okay.
and yeah, there's for me, I think I'll definitely say a four. Like four is the biggest lie because
They're all
there
terrible.
is, like I mentioned, that you may have different needs that you need to engage in your organization, and politics or the politics of the organization is a reality that you may actually have to face in the different places that you work in. And but I guess two, like four, is also quite closely linked to two, because sometimes if you're the smartest but not politically correct, you won't get where you need to get to, or where you'd like to get to.
Yeah, I like to say like four is the backbone of everything else. Of
Yeah,
all the other lies that are
once I saw Michael's comment, I agree. For it is.
Yay, we're 4 for 4. Alrighty, so let's get cracking. I want to share a case study from Erica from Austin. And this one is going to go to you, Samson. The Invisible Workhorse is what it's titled. So, hi, team. I need your advice. For the past 3 years, I've been killing myself at work, late nights, extra projects, even covering for my manager. But when promotion season came, I got nothing. Instead, someone who honestly barely delivers half of what I do got the role. I can't help but feel cheated. Here's my question: is hard work ever enough, or am I dreaming if I think just working harder will get me promoted? Frustrated but faithful Erica from Austin. So, off the bat, Samson, I'm curious as to what you feel about the hard work versus not. Because I'm looking at Erica being a female, and I see that the stats in general females are less likely to get promoted by male counterparts. So if you look at it, like if you look at 100 males getting promoted, only like 70 to 80 females get promoted for every 100 males. So I'm wondering if there's also like a gender component that's at play in her little story.
Interesting, interesting. I really like the way she signed her case study, faithful but frustrated. And I must say that I understand her because I am naturally, like, when I'm not intentional, I can be a workaholic. I work and work and work and work. But what I would say to Erica is that while hard work is necessary, it is not sufficient because promotions are not merit badges for effort. And that's something that sometimes we miss because we think that just effort will be enough to get that badge, that merit of promotion. Promotion are usually very strategic decisions, and they're based on visibility. They're based on influence. They're based on perceived leadership potential. Because the people that are promoting you, they must be able to perceive that leadership potential that you have. Because promotion is an upward trajectory. You're going to be leading some people. Maybe you're not leading anyone now, but you're definitely going to be leading some people after the promotion. So you must be able to show that. And the way the framework that I usually use to teach promotion is an acronym SHOW UP, because show up is it's easy for you to remember. So, and the S is for strategic visibility. You know, you don't just work; you make sure that the right people see that you're doing that work. So this includes you sharing your progress, sharing your impact, sharing your wins, and you might need to be showing that regularly. Of course, in the present world, LinkedIn it has been used almost to its stretched extent in that everybody is saying they're happy to report and they're happy to say they've done this, they're happy to say they've done such and such, but you must be strategic in the visibility that you're trying to communicate because you want the right people to see what you're communicating. The H is harness sponsorship. Mentors can advise you, sponsors advocate for you. So you must be a person who intentionally is building relationship with people that can mention your name, can speak your name in rooms that you're not in, and some of these things. Sometimes a sponsor would come on their own. I personally have somebody that mentioned me in my largest business ever, and all that happened was without me actually reaching out to them. He just saw my work somewhere and he decided to become my sponsor, and he has been sponsoring me and mentioned me in rooms that probably I would not be getting to. But you need to harness that power of sponsors because those are the people that would advocate for you when they're discussing in that room. Who should we promote? There has to be somebody that's going to say, "Hey, Sam has that potential. Erica has that potential," or is own your narrative. You know, you have to frame your own contribution in terms of the business impact that the organization is having. You have to claim it with confidence. And this is something that my father used to tell me, that if you've done something good, make sure the person that you've done it to actually knows it in terms of business. So, if you've given your client a discount, make sure that they actually know that this price is a discounted price. They need to know that you've done something for them. So if there's a narrative, if there's a contribution that you've done it, just claim it, own it, because that's your narrative, especially if you're contributing to business impact. W is work smart, not just hard. So you must always know that being busy does not equal being valuable, and you must focus on high leverage tasks that align, especially those that align with the organizational goal. So you must be able to understand, hey, this is the direction that the company is going, this is the direction that the organization is going, and what are the tasks that are really aligning to that goal, and That's because that's how you work smart, not just hard. Um, because you want to be valuable, not just busy.
Mm-hmm.
You is understand the game. You know, promotions are political, which is why I had to agree with Michael once he said it matters who you know and who knows you. You know, these decisions are made, and you need to understand who influences them and what leadership looks like in your organization. Different organizations have different leadership cultures, so you must be able to study and understand that culture and exude it in the way that you're operating on a day to day. And P, which is final in show up, is position yourself proactively. So you know if uh, there's an assignment that is a stretch that most people are not looking to go to, if that is something that you're seeing is in alignment with the organizational goal, ask for it. You know, express interest in advancement. And this is something that I saw when I started consulting for the AU Development Agency, in that I started just as a basic, team member. And, because I had learned some of these things, I approached the manager who was managing all the experts from different countries, and I told them, hey, I want to be considered for a team lead position in one of the emerging technologies that you guys are considering in. And they said, hey, we've not had anyone ever ask for a promotion like this. So you know what? We're just going to give it to you. So, just express that interest that, hey, I really would like to go forward. And is there anything that you'd want me to do to be better positioned for that? Just make your aspirations known, because silence is not a strategy. So, strategic visibility, harness sponsorships, own your narrative, work smart, not hard, understand the game, position yourself proactively. And I think those are stuff that you can do to show up, to make sure that your hard work is actually appreciated and you're getting that visibility that you need, so that they can see the perceived readiness for you to wanting to be in that position. And while mentors can help you grow, sponsors can help you go forward, go where you want, go higher, and so on and so forth. So I think that will be my advice to Erica. I probably would have like a thing or two to add, but I would like to let my other panelists add something if they want to say something to Erica. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really good. Thank you, Sam. Michael, I'm curious in terms of Erica's story. Sam said something around perceived readiness. Now, how can someone actually manage that, right? Because it's someone else's viewpoint. And I saw that you made a comment around, ownership or narrative, but what can someone like Erica actually do to do? Because maybe she's shy, maybe she's uncomfortable. I can be honest, it's very uncomfortable. You've known me for quite a while. It's hard for me to even go, oh, I did it. I literally am just like, can we just not talk about what I do? Can you just I literally just like want to be the shell, like disappear. So what can we actually do to kind of get more comfortable and not take away like the negative perception maybe that it feels like? And I don't know if it's just speaking for me or if I'm speaking for other females out there or speaking for people who are like me in terms of personality, where it's really tough to just go, I'm amazing, Google me.
So I definitely understand that perspective. And as I think about Erica and her positioning, and I think about perspective, I really do go back to ownership, right? So I tell my team. So I right now have a team of 15. Some full time, some part time, some contractors. Thank you. But I don't manage everybody, right? So the closer you are to me, the easier it's for me to see, overall how you're operating, how you're moving, how like what is it you're doing inside the space. But the further you are away from me, well, then the less information I know that I'm going to need you to over communicate for you to tell me what you're doing, because I'm not looking at your day to day and week to week, because I'm doing other things managing my direct reports. So some of the things that I see or that I would love as I'm talking to different team members is if there's a responsibility or a task or a project that you're connected to, right? Like that is your time to shine, right? That is your time to say, this is what that process looked like. This is what we've done. This is the status, the outcomes. And if you are not inclined to do that, right, then the other best option would be to just show that, right? Allow the outcomes to speak for you, where that those who do need to see are able to see that. Right. And I would agree with Samson that if you have a great manager, a sponsor, someone that can advocate for you, well, then you wouldn't need to be as vocal. right? And as I know sometimes people don't want to be as vocal, it's definitely a value, right? I definitely recommend being vocal. But if you can't, well, then get champions, right? Get other people that are able to be the voice for you, right? Get accolades, get awards, right? There's other ways to allow your work to be like a justification of the outcomes where you don't have to be the main one doing it in every single meeting. It'll be great, right? But if you could drop an article or a link, hey, well, here goes a feature we just got on, last week, or here goes a flyer we just pushed out, right? Or here goes a donation we just received, or here goes this contract we just earned, right? There's other ways to showcase that, but it really is crucial for the right person, the right people to see that, right? Because I tell my team that just because you're working hard doesn't mean we're getting the outcomes that we want, right?
Mm.
Like if you, a simple example, if you have to add 100 names to a database, and after you add all the 100 names, you forgot to add the last name. Well, now you got to go back and add all the last names to those names again, right? You're working hard, you're putting in more hours, but that work is not creating the outcome that we need. And then that perception can say, okay, maybe you don't understand how to work efficiently. Maybe you're not managing your time well. Then we start having all those different questions versus you doing it the right way, leaning in and allowing your work to speak for you, so that if you are working hard and having merit and working smart, then Erica, you can get the promotion you're looking for.
Awesome. Thanks. Noma, I want to ask you because they talked about, Sam talked about mentors and sponsors and the importance of getting a sponsor. What would you recommend Erica does in terms of trying to build a relationship with a sponsor, especially if she might be anti, trying to be political?
So I guess life in its very being political in whatever setting that you're in. But the level of politics that you play is what you can you can moderate, and also just playing as clean as possible. But in terms of with the sponsor or with the mentor, it's to, I think people always rally around things that they have in common. So is to try and identify the things that you may have in common with someone who could become a sponsor, or who could become your sponsor, and you rally around those. And also, like I also find that like just as a tip on how you can find what's in common is to ask a lot, have the other person speak as much as possible instead of wanting to be heard first of all. Then you can do your mental tick. So figure this is where we get along. This is where these are the things that we have in common. This is where we could potentially align. And to do things together to actually the best relationships are those where we do work together, things or something like that. So if you're looking for a mentor, I think you can't run away from the developing a relationship which is professional, but which is just outside of the normal work that you're doing. Your mentors know a lot about you, or your sponsors know a lot more about you than just, she produces reports on time. They'll ask about your kids, if you've got kids, family, and other stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I love the actionable input that you guys have provided us. So Erica, in short, working hard is not enough. You need to be visible. You need to get out there. You need to find that sponsor. You need to own that narrative. You need to make connections with your mentors and as well as your sponsors. So we're going to move on to the next story. This is from Nairobi, Kenya. And this one's going to go to you, Michael. So this is from John from Nairobi. Let me paint you a picture. There's this guy in my office. Let's call him the mayor of Nairobi. He's a smooth talker, always getting coffee with senior leaders, posting company cheerleader stuff on LinkedIn, and somehow he got promoted. However, he's crashing. Deadlines missed, team morale down, everyone's grumbling. I feel promotions always reward politics over competence. What's your take?
Sure, sure, sure. Well, I will share this that there are different options here, right? Because as I read this and I heard about it, I definitely leaned in two different directions. One one piece that I would share is that that may not be the right company for you, right? There's definitely a culture for different companies, and sometimes in companies, company politics and relationships trump any amount of merit whatsoever, right? Those that have been there for X amount of years, despite the outcomes, they will be the ones who always have the relationship in some cases. But then there's other companies that reward those that are working hard and working more efficiently, but also those that are providing value to the organization, and that value can be in different levels depending on what bucket or what department or what role they're playing for the organization. So for you, I would say definitely build relationships for yourself, right? Get to know those that have the decision to do promotions, and get documentation and get understanding of what those promotional tracks looks like, right? Because sometimes we can only see what we want to see, right? So maybe there's more behind the scenes that's happened that you're not even aware of, right? That maybe the mayor of Nairobi did the best thing possible and got them 5 organizations or 5 offices across the globe that you just don't know about, right? So there's definitely, sometimes we have to check ourselves a little bit, not make everything about us, but understand, okay, what are the pathways for promotion? What do I need to do, right? Talk to your manager, talk to your director, talk to other people that can give that information, and then put a game plan together and say, okay, well, this is what I would like to do. So I see what happened with Mayor Nairobi. Cool. I love that for them. What I would like to do is this, right? This is the roadmap that I have. Here goes the things I would like to do. Hey, manager. Hey, supervisor. Hey, whoever. Is there a pathway for me on this team in this company to get there? If there is, great. Make it happen. You can talk to the HR side, or you can talk to different team members around the culture, right? About, hey, what's happening? I see that this team is not performing. You could address those things if you want to, but as far as yourself, you can have that plan in place for the company and for the manager if it's there. And if it's not, there are a lot of opportunities that I would love to have individuals that are passionate, that are merit based, that does good work. They would love to have you. So there's so many other opportunities out there as well. If that company, if that culture is not the right fit, but try. And if it doesn't work, definitely explore other options and see what works for you. You never know until you have a conversation.
That is true, because sometimes you'll be assuming a lot of things in your head that are not even true.
Yeah. Because the mind will say whatever it wants to say to us, and we can only look at the negative and see what we see. But then when you realize, like, oh, I didn't know all of that. It's like, well, how could you know, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go ahead and make the right decisions and to the best of our ability. I'm gonna really lean in, right? Really lean in to make it happen and go from there.
Awesome. Sam, I'm just curious. It seems like John sounds like he's anti networking. So, what would you say is the fine line between authentic networking and maybe what he thinks is sucking up? Because
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
tone of him, it's like he's already like he just gets coffee. I'm like, okay.
So I think what I would tell John is, while credibility can really help you remain in a room, charm does get you through the door. So, you have to bring a balance to these things. There's both relationship and results that are needed. Just because you're having results and somebody's pursuing relationship, while you may not know what results that they have, it doesn't mean that they're less than. So, I think anyone who wants to grow career-wise, you must be able to form relationships, and that includes networking, includes getting interested in people's lives, uh,
Mhm.
it includes listening to people. And hey, you may say that, hey, I'm an introvert, I'm really good with things, not people, and that might be true, and that might be how you grew up. But here in adult life, we need to be able to train ourselves to do the uncountable for the sake
Mhm.
of the that we want. Because, for instance, as an engineer and by personality, I don't talk much, but I had to learn the hard way that hey, presentation is going to be part of what I do if I'm going to be CEO. You know, I need to talk to people. I need to walk into room and talk to strangers that I've never known before because we need to raise money. You know, because we're selling a new product. So you must be able to do the uncomfortable just that you get the results that you want. So I think don't dismiss every act of networking as, hey, you're sucking up. No, actually, it's part of the process of networking. If somebody is 10 times you and you're here and you want them to help you grow, uh, part of it is that you're going to be the one to approach them and say, hey, I am so and so, and this is what we do, because chances are they are not going to come to you because they don't know who you are. So that's actually okay. You know, walk across that room, introduce yourself to that person respectfully, say what you're doing, you know, do your pitch or whatever it is that you've prepared. Because if you want people to know who you are and what you're doing, you need to open your mouth and speak. I was actually going to say something when Michael was contributing on Erica's case that there's this Bible verse that it used to be why I would not talk about myself. It's in Proverbs and it goes something along the lines of let other people praise you and not your own lips. I think it's Proverbs 27 verse 2 or verse 3 somewhere there. And you know, I would encourage myself with that. You know what? Even God doesn't want us to talk about ourselves. And no, that's a bad idea.
Oh man, I love it. I love how you brought religion to be like, I need to be humble because the Bible said so.
Oh no, absolutely not. So just speak about who you are, as long as you're being authentic. Don't tell people lies about. Don't misrepresent yourself. But if you really are doing what you are doing, you need to tell people because nobody knows. Really, nobody knows. And it's not because they're bad people, but because they have so much things to know. They just haven't had the chance to start looking for it. Just tell them that you exist. So every networking is good.
Yeah.
And I'll just add to that real quick on Samson. One thing I wanted to highlight just on the networking piece, because sometimes people can think, oh, like networking is a lot, it's draining, and I want to just clarify, or I guess define at least how I look at networking, and it's not trying to meet everybody. Like that's not what networking is, right? So you go to an event, you go to a company, like you don't have to go and meet everybody, pass out all your business cards, connect everybody on LinkedIn. Like you don't have to do that, right? Like you could just pick a couple of people, right? Pick one person, either pick one person that you want to get to know, or like look for a type of persona, right? I'm looking for someone who has this experience. I'm looking for someone who's passionate about this. Oh, I would like to find a hiking buddy, right? Like whatever that thing is that you're looking for from a networking perspective. To Samson's point, be authentic in that, right? And know that everybody's busy, right? So like even me, like sometimes I could be slow to communicate. Charge it to my mind and not my heart, is because I'm just doing a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But as we build relationships and we're authentic, then we can give people the patience and the grace that they need to have real, authentic relationships that allows us to have the outcomes that we're looking for in the workplace, but also out in the community, in our family, in our relationships, etc.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you both have said. And Noma, I'm wondering around EQ because it sounds like when you guys spoke about, hey, people need to not look at, you don't know the whole picture, right? John, you don't know what that guy, the mayor of Nairobi, is doing on the sides, what value he's adding. You also don't know if he's sucking up or if he is actually building real authentic, relationships. And I think that there is a role that EQ plays. And I'm curious from your point of view, Norma, because we spoke about, competency, relationships, credibility, as well as charm. But how does EQ play in the concept of whether it's office politics or trying to connect with people within your organization and beyond? Noma, are you still there?
She's thinking about the answer.
Yeah, keep thinking.
Can you hear us, Noma? I think we might be having a connectivity issue, guys. So sorry about that. Well, I don't know if either of you would like to take that question on behalf of Noma.
Yeah, I actually just put inside the comments for everybody online is that
Okay.
I love Noma's comment about IQ will get you hired. So we hire people, right? I'm looking at resumes, I'm looking at works in the past. I'm saying, okay, this person have the skills to do this job. Great, love that. But then by the time I get to an interview, right, everybody has already vetted that they could do the job, right? Great. I'm looking at, all right, well, can you do the job in this community, right? In this company, in this mission, in this vision, with my leadership style, right? With my team environment, right? Can you do that here? Because that's going to take more than just, your technical aptitude, right? It's going to take more of you just being able to do, process these things. This is more so, can you understand individuals, right? Can you understand the situation, right? Can you make adjustments based on what you know or what you've done in the past? Can you make the right adjustments that we need in these moments? And that is so hard because you never know how someone's going to perform under pressure, right? Like if something's not going your way, right? If there's a due date on a project, if someone's not showing up where they're supposed to be, if you can't get in contact with that partner or that customer or that client or that volunteer or that intern, how are you going to handle those moments? Which is why nowadays interpersonal skills, sometimes called soft skills, sometimes called people skills, are so much more important today because with the advancement of technology, the advancement of education, the advancement of AI, people can figure out how to do something. I mean, we can learn skills now. Thank you for technology. I love that things are more accessible. But now, do you have the wisdom of knowing when to apply those things in the moment so that it can be most impactful for you as an individual, but also whatever entity or entities you're working with or supporting? Right. So I definitely lean in about emotional intelligence and really being able to understand and adapt and read people to the best of your ability so that all of us can lean in and have a win-win. Right. That's the outcome, a win-win for everybody. Because if you don't want to work on a team, if you don't want to work in a company, they don't want you to be there either. Right. It's not a good win for everybody. Right. We want everybody leaning in and everybody saying, yes, I'm going to play my role. I'm going to do this. Let's go and let's make it a win-win.
Yeah, 1000%. So we're going to go to the next case study. I'm going to read it out. And then if Norma is back online, she will answer it, or else you gentlemen seem to be handling it okay. So we'll also just go that
Let's go.
route.
We ready. We got it. We ready. We ready. Let's go.
All right. So this is where's oh, there is no name here. Okay, so this is Risk Taker from Johannesburg, South Africa. So he or she goes, I might be a little crazy. Everyone told me not to apply for a failing department. Career suicide, they said. But I went for it, turned it around, and landed a big client. And now I'm sitting in a promotion 2 levels higher than my peers. Here's where I need your advice. I don't want to mislead my friends by telling them risk is the magic formula, but I also can't ignore that my leave paid off. Should I encourage them to grab risky opportunities if they want to move up faster, or was my success just lucky timing? So this is yeah, I think this is a really good one. This is for you, Norma. I don't know if you're available to try tackle this case study. I think her screen's actually frozen.
Yes, I think it is as well. And I've been talking a lot, so we could let Samson start with this. I'm curious your thoughts on this because I have some ideas and some comments, but I'm curious what
Sure.
would you say on this one, Samson?
All right. So to the risk taker in Joburg. Um, so I don't remember who told me this, and it could be that they took a quote from somebody else. But somebody once told me that risk is not recklessness, it is calculated courage. And
That's a good one.
yeah, and since it is calculated courage, it means uh, there's calculation there. You just don't jump. You know, you look at where you're jumping, and the way that he the way that he presented it to me was, you know how sometimes when it rains, there's like puddles, and uh, as you're walking, if there's a puddle, before you jump, usually, you know, you've already scanned where you want to land, and that's where you're aiming at. And we
Mm,
need to bring the same mentality to our careers, to our jobs, to our business as an organization. That if you're seeing an opportunity, yes, it could be a dead department. It could really seem very risky for you to actually ask for that assignment. But if the calculations are there, then the courage should be supported by the calculations. So I would say, as you're communicating it to them, you know, you don't want to sell them a bill of goods that, hey, just jump and the staircase is going to show itself. That would be bad business. But you do want to tell them the truth that, hey, it is risky, yes, but there was calculation there. I had already seen how I could turn it around. I'd run with the numbers, you know, straight moves that are aligning with a particular maybe pain points in the business or maybe with your customers are usually very high growth accelerators, things that can really push you forward. So I would advise that if she or he is to tell the truth to his or her friends, she has to be able, or he has to be able to say the whole truth that, hey, I looked at pain points. I looked at our customers' pain points. And yes, it seemed like a dud when I took it, but
mm.
I could see that I could turn it around. And with a little bit of courage, I could do something with the department or with the division. So as long as you know where you want to land, you know, yes, there's a puddle, and yes, there's a chance that you'll get your feet wet. But if you've seen the puddle, you've seen where you want to land, take courage and go for it. Um, so I would encourage my friends to, you know, be bold, but to also be discerning. You know, don't just go because this opportunity seems to be there. It has to be calculated courage. Yeah.
So I actually have a follow-up question, and you can take this, Michael, if you like. But it's really about, so you're taking the risk, and it can be a calculated risk, and you did your research, and you Googled yourself, and everyone did, and they're like, you're amazing. And you felt like you were going to be able to hit this out of the ballpark. But then life happens, and you actually fail, which is also a possibility. How do you rebound and protect your reputation from that failure? Because I think a lot of us, at least on the call, and I'm hoping people who are listening in, there's no way you have gone through your careers and not had some, train smashes here and there for, stories around the dinner.
Oh my God. Can I go first?
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Stephanie, go.
Yeah. So as you're talking, you reminded me. So 20 mid 2018. You know, when we started our company, we were building different products, and but mid 2018, I convinced my entire team to focus on solutions for the hospitality industry. So, you know, hotels, restaurants, etc. And so we were shedding off other business units because that was really picking up. And by end of 2019, you know, hotels, restaurants, etc. are over 50% of our clients. And then you all know what happened in 2020, COVID. And so in my country, we didn't close up the entire country, but the one industry that did close up was the hospitality industry. So you can imagine everybody staring at me. Yes, I'm the boss, I'm the leader that convinced everybody that, hey, let's drop that, let's focus on this. And now we're not even sure that we can pay our rent in, I don't know, a couple of months or manage payroll a few months down the road. And I really thought it was a calculated risk. Tourism is a big industry in my country. We have the Serengeti, we have Zanzibar, we have the Kilimanjaro. So it made sense. We did the jump, and then we fell face flat. We were hemorrhaging money left, right, and center. And clients were very open. Guys, we can continue paying this because we're closing. We don't know when we're going to open. So that time really taught me that, hey, part of this is I had to reassure my team that, hey, you're not going to lose your job. We're going to figure something out. And I had to humble myself and sit down and just say, hey guys, bring it in together. What do you think? What should we do? Yes, I led you down this road and I have failed, and I had to talk to my board that, hey, you remember that decision that I convinced you guys to rubber stamp? Now we're here, but we need to figure something out. And after a few months, we managed to turn it around. But uh, failures do happen, but just face them head on, communicate with honesty. And I think when people see that you're really there for them and you're not throwing people under the bus, people will rally around you and you can figure something out.
Mhm.
Michael, over to you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And as you were talking, I'm thinking about several things on my side as well. And I really think about my own lived experience. So I know that it can be easier to take calculated risks and to have calculated courage if someone can show you an example. Right.
Mm,
So if you have somebody in your family that has been more courageous, or someone in your network that has been more courageous, well, it's easier to see, okay, this is something that I could do, or this is an option or pathway. So networking, having relationships, going to events, hearing people's stories, reading books, going to podcasts or reading podcasts, those are great to hear different scenarios so you can apply that to yourself, or see what you can apply to your life. And then I think about my own experience, right? My own lifestyle. Yes, I have family members who have been business owners, right? I have family members who have traveled or lived in non-conditional lifestyles where they may not be living in one place, the majority of their life, or they're hopping from one place to another. So I grew up with a lot of change and sometimes uncertainty or risk. So fast forward to when I was at Oracle. This is my first job out of college. Well, my first government paying jobs out of college, I'll say. There's some other things, but this is where I'm like, all right, now I'm at Oracle. Let me go ahead and lead into this. This is where I really realized that like this is just a pathway forward. I didn't know what that looks like, but I know I was going to gain the skills at Oracle and learn all that I can at Oracle. And I thought, and my original plan was to be at Oracle just for a year, right? But then after being inside Oracle, my passions kind of changed and what I wanted to do around technology. And Oracle wasn't a place for me to do that. So I had to leave Oracle to go to ADP, where I got more exposure to some of the things I wanted to do, but it also wasn't everything that I wanted to do. But me leaving Oracle to go to ADP was a risk, but it was fine. It worked out. Then I left ADP and I spent some time into the Austin startup ecosystem. So I went to a fitness tech company to help them out around from a back end perspective, front end perspective, and leverage all those skills there. That also was a risk, but all those things got me to Universal Tech Movement, to where I am today, where this was a company that I formalized back in 2019. We got our 501c3 status, which is our tax exemption here in the United States in 2020, and we've been firing on all cylinders ever since then. And now we serve about 500 clients a year. We have over 50 partnerships where we're global. We're not just in the States. So we have grown, thank you. We've grown through the pivots of, well, let me try this career path, or well, let me jump to this position. Well, let me go to this company, right? All of those were calculated risks for me to gain the skills and the experience, understand the processes, so that I can take all of that and formulate that into my company, right? And what we're doing. And right now, I'm thinking about the next 5 years. How do we grow and scale as we continue to have these little hiccups along the way that forces you to pivot and kind of rethink sometimes?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Noma, I want to end with you because we're about to close. Could you please share with us, when should someone quit versus fight for that promotion? Because we've alluded about, bad environments, like maybe it's not the right place, it's not serving you. But what advice could you give our listeners on, listen, you're in your organization and you're looking at some sort of signs. What signs are like, it's time to go to the left, like a Beyonce song, or, struggle through?
Yeah. I'm very much driven by like my mental health. So that I think for me that's the biggest sign, and even like my anxiety levels, because when something gives me a lot of anxiety, and when I'm very uncomfortable with it and I'm always stressed, for me that's a sign to say that, you know what, let's quit. Because you can work hard, but you don't have to be stressed by working hard. The minute you start feeling, and I think over the years I've become very good at identifying places where my anxiety levels really peak. And when anxiety is high, and for me, it's also largely driven by relationships and characters, which is, and I'm a big believer in that social dimension in terms of promotions and just general workplace happiness. So when when the me and people don't get along together, or we're not aligned in terms of how we interact with one another, or how we interact with other people or public, or just stakeholders, I think for me that's just time to say, you know what, I think I need to go and find a place or environment where there's better alignment, with the soft side of me, which is actually me, which is the EQ and not the IQ. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what
awesome.
I would say that. Mm.
Thank you. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. I will give you each 1 minute to close. Any last parting words before we shut down this webinar? We will start with you, Samson, then go to Michael, and then Noma, you can give us your final thoughts.
Don't wait to get picked. Pick yourself up, go for it. You can. It's okay to talk about yourself, as long as you're being real and true.
Yeah.
All the best.
For sure. I'll say be intentional in all that you do, create a plan for all that you do, and make time to do all that you need to do.
Wow.
Thank you. Noma?
Yeah, and since I've had the most challenges, I mean, there's a lot I would have wanted to have shared, but I think the biggest one for me is about don't wait to be picked. Is we all know that the squeaky wheel gets greased, and when we also look at it biblically, it says, ask and you shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. So if you're not looking for that promotion, if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not speaking out and actually asking to be noticed, that's not going to happen. How you get noticed is different, whether you're going to say it, whether you're going to do it through a mentor or other ways, but always make sure that you're saying something and
Well,
expressing your intentions.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you spending an hour with everybody on this call. Please do drop your LinkedIn so that we can connect with you guys on the chat if you haven't. Follow these guys. They are literally movers and shakers, and they're all across the world. I am so honored for you guys to even spend this time with us. So thank you. Thank you so much. Listen, getting promoted isn't just about waiting for someone to notice you. It's about learning how to make your value undeniable. Today, you've seen some of the tools, but this is just the surface. If you're serious about moving from overlooked to unstoppable, the Path to Promotion course is where we go deeper. That's where we walk you through step by step, building your promotion strategy, sharpening how you showcase results, and creating the kind of presence that gets you seen and awarded. So don't just leave this webinar feeling inspired. Take the next step. Enroll in Path to Promotion, invest in yourself, and start owning the career you deserve.
because you're not invisible. It's time you and your value is seen, respected, and rewarded.